This is spring here, so it feels really great, and so it feels like a welcoming. So I want to welcome you to this session. How would that welcome will sound like for you, Maureen?
I think what you just said was perfect.
Okay, so let's concentrate for we will have around 30-40 minutes to have our
Okay.
session today, and thank you for that. And just to open it up, what's in your mind for today?
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity, and I thank everybody for attending. And I hope we find this mutually beneficial in some way. But what's been weighing on my mind is with the coronavirus, we have been sequestered in our homes, and which leaves one more time to think. And it also holds up for me the vulnerability of life. And the reset button for me has been pushed on what do I want to do with the rest of my life? I'm getting a bit older. I still want to coach. I still want to mentor coach, but I don't want a full-time practice anymore. And so I'm not really sure what to fill it with. And there's also some angst over aging. And so I don't know what's underneath all of that angst.
So I've noticed that you said some very powerful questions like reset, the reset
Hmm.
button, and the angst around aging. And I wonder, how do you feel when you speak these words?
The reset part, I'm okay. There's a bit of an unknown, but some of that's required in order to formulate and move ahead. It may be the angst around aging that is most uncomfortable for me. Yeah.
Uh, so, uh, so comfort perhaps against angst, and as you said, how to feel the rest of the time because it seems
Uh,
like you will be opening up to you will be opening up your schedule. You will create more space, and since you mentioned that reset button, I wonder. You mentioned okay the coronavirus, these conditions, but I wonder which are the inner conditions versus the outer conditions. The inner conditions that are making this very important right now.
well, probably just the fact that, as the years click by, um, I'm more aware that I am different now. I am older. So I could run, a 10K, a 10-kilometer race, no problem. Maybe 8 years ago, I can't do that today. So there's a bit of a loss, a feeling of loss that comes with aging. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on in the inner landscape. How do I focus less on the loss and maybe more on the gifts of aging?
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
The gifts of aging. That
Mhm.
sounds. This is this gathers our attention. I feel like it's asking for our attention. What are these gifts, and what are these gifts are bringing to life?
Yeah. Well, when I'm shut down in my home, some of the gifts that I would like to enjoy, I can't, but at the moment. But yeah, so it calls my attention too, because I tend to focus on the angst versus the gifts,
Hmm.
which then, of course, creates more angst.
it sounds like I'm hearing, like you're saying, you want to make a wise use of your gifts.
Mhm.
I wonder how would that wise use would look like.
Well, I like that question because it does put a little different spin on it. Um, Let me take a moment to reflect. So, part of the wise use of my gifts, one that I know I want and continue to do, is coach and mentor coach, but I've become quite selective in my clients and who I choose to work with. And I've
Hmm.
been very happy with that piece. My clients have been happy. I'm happy. So I don't think it's around that so much as if I'm clearing the table of everything else, what does that look like? And one of the things I love to do is travel, but travel alone over time probably won't be soul fulfilling, and it's more of a selfish gift. Not that I won't do it.
Hmm.
Um, Another area is I'm concerned about climate change a lot, and I'm not sure how I, as an individual, can influence that. So that might be a use of the gift of having a freer calendar, more space on my calendar.
Hmm.
And so I don't know how to approach that just yet, but that's on my radar.
Okay, so you have a lot of ideas, and I'm sure that there are a lot of options. And sometimes we push ourselves like we need to find that solution right now.
Yeah.
And I don't get that from you, and I want to honor that because you're looking for something which is more important. Perhaps we have to go down to the base of everything and like trying to describe, let's say, the parameters of um, what do you want to live by.
Mm.
What do we want to experience by each what by whatever choice that you make. So let's go back and start from that.
Yeah, that's probably a good place to go. So you raise a few things that are of interest to me. So one, I've always been a very goal-driven person. So goals are important and driven is important. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to, in this reset, using that reset button, to let go of the drive and let the goals sort of organically arrive. Um, so those two things were important for me to share for some reason. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm going to go back to the angst again, Angelo. There are times when I feel like, okay, I'm going to go out there and move and play and explore. And the area of nature and climate change is important to me. And but then sometimes I can wake up in the morning or in the middle of the night and still have some angst, perhaps because the goal and the drive, I don't have a goal and I can't move toward it.
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm suspecting. Um, so now I lost your question because I just took off in another direction. I'm sorry. Go back to your question because there was a nugget, there was another nugget in there for me, if you could, or
Yeah.
reformulate a question.
No, no, no. It's okay. Just let's relax. I felt that what you felt. I felt that too. I felt the same because it seems low. Let's just focus on that. So we both experienced like we were somehow lost, and perhaps that stemmed out because that was not the right direction for us to take in the conversation. So if you go more down to the basement of trying to find what's really underneath everything is so before moving into actions, before designing goals and so on, what it is for you, what it is for Maureen that's essential, that is important, that you want to live in these years.
Ah, there you go. Yeah. So what do I want? How do I want to use my life? And that is probably the reset button. Um, I've already talked about coaching. So in what work I do, I feel comfortable with what I've chosen there. Family is important to me. And maybe some of the angst I'm feeling right now is a disconnect from family because we've had to isolate ourselves in our homes. Family is important. And then making some contribution to the greater good really is important to me. So that should be one of the gifts of getting older. Financially, I don't have to worry.
Mm-hmm.
I still have some energy, and maybe my angst comes from what is it that I can do that can benefit others, and even benefit our planet, Earth, in the time that I have remaining. And I don't see my way clear there.
So, yes, let's not rush. You mentioned family, and
Mm-hmm.
the key word that I heard was connection, connection with the family.
Mm,
Right? That sounded,
yeah,
huh? That sounded very significant, like there was
it
something
is.
connection.
Well, and maybe that's part of my angst, actually. So, connection is important to me. So, my family is my family, and they will be around.
Hmm.
But my work has always provided connection for me.
Work.
And as I shift my calendar less in the direction of work, um, maybe my angst really is the fear of connection.
The fear of connection.
Fear of not having connection.
Yeah, fear of not having connection. And you
Yeah,
also mentioned contribution. And
yeah.
yeah, so with the family and with work, you experience the connection. What do you experience by contributing?
Well, for my clients, we have a lot of coaches on the call, so I'm sure they'll relate to that. As far as coaching, you hold the space and allow them to do their deep work, just like you're doing now with
Mhm.
me. And so that's the contribution, and the connection is just we really meet each other in such a soulful level that um, it's very rich. And I have something very similar with my family. You know, I'm there to help support them. I have some grandchildren, so I help shape them in small ways as they grow up and how they see the world and how they can see the world. So that's where those are my contributions, and I don't feel any angst when it comes to my coaching or my family. It's really the rest of it. It's really the rest of it. It's like I'm looking to clear my calendar. And so uh, that connection, I never thought about connection and contribution together, but they're both really important to me. And so that's unclear to me.
Hmm.
And yeah.
Maureen, as I'm listening to you, I noticed that you say some things that are really profound, like talking about your grandkids, how they can see the world, and that changed a little bit your posture and your eyes were opened up.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like there was something else, motivating energy. But overall, in this part of our conversation, I feel that your energy is usually dropping, and I wonder what does that feel like?
When I talk about family or when my energy drops?
When we're talking together
Uh-huh.
in this context, I feel that usually your energy is dropping talking about these issues, about aging, about the angst, about
It's heavy.
yeah,
Yeah. Doesn't feel good.
yeah. Now you're different. Now you're different. Now
Hmm.
your face lit up. Now you're different.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so maybe I need to be more self-aware when I start to go down the angst path, and uh, shift my thoughts to that which does. I'm going to use a metaphor or an analogy. There's an expression, you can see the world as a glass half full or a glass half empty.
Right.
And I've been looking at the glass half empty. So then that begs the question, how do we get Maureen's habit of looking at the glass half empty in this context and shifting it to the glass half full or full,
Or
either
full,
way.
or drink the water, whatever,
Yeah, just not, we have
regardless
an
of
expression, don't drink the Kool-Aid, so it can't be Kool-Aid, but
yeah,
yeah.
just taking advantage of the water or whatever, regardless of
Oh,
whether what the glass status is. But I wonder, I mean, I think this is what is essential at this moment in our conversation is to understand what we have to address or resolve in order to move forward with what you want to experience in these new years that lie ahead.
yeah. It's a really broad topic, but if you, I like the metaphor of a glass half empty or a glass half full, but you added an extra layer. Why don't you just drink the water in the glass, which is enjoying the gifts that one has, right?
Mm.
Yeah, a glass isn't empty at all. So, so how do I shift? How do I break the habit of looking at that glass being half empty and just sitting and drinking the water? And maybe that's just the visual I carry around with me. And if I catch myself, um, I have a visual going on in my head where I'm out in nature and I find a beautiful stream that's clear and healthy, and I have a little cup and I stick it in there and I drink the water. And it's refreshing and it's soothing. That's a nice picture to walk around with.
Nice picture to walk around with. And okay, we were saying something which was, between making a joke and trying to find out what is really happening or create some kind of realization of awareness, creating some kind of awareness around, the half full and the half empty and all these things. But I wonder, yeah, how is that for you in this particular situation, in this particular time when you find yourself? You are still in confinement, right?
Yeah, but I have a beautiful backyard. And like I talked about, I've been planting things. I mean, it looks like parkland.
Mm.
And my husband reminds me that part of what seems like our backyard actually is parkland. So it's like, okay. But so that makes me feel good. I have a trail system that I can get out and walk. I broke my little toe here recently, which has made me more confined. So that probably doesn't help the angst. But when I think about, walking along and inside my head, I've got this vision of finding this beautiful, clear stream and dipping my cup in and drinking it, just surrounded by trees. That makes me really happy. That makes me really happy, which that's a gift that you have helped me come to form for myself. That can help those can be soothing waters for my angst.
I saw a light there when you were saying those things. I don't know if it just, the sun was shone brighter or was that you? I'm not
Mhm. Uh, I don't know. Could have been the sun. It was
Yeah,
me, Angelo. It was
it
me.
was.
I'm just, glowing now.
I'm sure it
Actually,
was
I
you.
do feel better.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
want to so finding the water and filling your cup and having live that experience to the fullest. And
Mhm.
I wonder what will serve you in that direction. What will serve you having that experience?
Yeah. I think for me, when I start feeling the angst, because my stomach will knot up, or I'll just have this, like you say, my energy will go down. I think I now just want to stop myself with that image and take a 30-second vacation to that little spot where I found that perfect stream and pulled out my cup, and the sunlight's filtering through the trees, and I'm drinking the gift of beautiful water. That will actually help me a lot, because I had this angst just a couple of nights ago, and I'm like, what do I have to worry about? Why am I all balled up? And so I have ideas of how to fill my calendar now that I'm resetting and moving in a different direction. Um, but I didn't have a way of dealing with the angst. And now I think I do. I think it's a great image. And that, why don't you just drink the water part, was brilliant. It helped me a lot. It's like, yeah, why am I not doing that? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So can I share something? Because
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure, but I heard that you were um, recalling back the expression about filling in the calendar, but I sense that that was not so important right now for you.
It really isn't. I can figure things out. It's really the angst. I've carried this angst around with me even before the coronavirus. I've
Mm.
had this angst for a couple of years now, because I knew I was going to get to this point and make my work just part time, and it's balled me up. And I've gotten anxious, and I didn't understand why. Part of it's the whole aging thing, but I didn't really even sense that is what it is. So I think it's just really shifting my mindset. And I've always worked so hard. So to sit and actually just drink the water and enjoy the gifts is something I did not give myself permission to do before.
Shift the mindset.
Yeah,
And
shift the mindset.
so, how would you describe the new mindset?
Well, there's an expression that comes to mind that I'm not sure I'm fully on board with, but I want to be. So, and it goes back to the contribution piece, and it's trust you are enough.
Trust you are enough.
Yeah, and there's something that just bubbled up again, and I actually have it in a reminder on my calendar. And so, trust that I am enough just to drink the water and enjoy the gifts. I think that's still an additional rub for me, because I've always had to work so hard. Um, and to be at that place where I can just go fill up my cup and just enjoy the water, and that's enough. That can't be true. And so that may be yet another piece of the anxiety, not fully trusting that I am enough and I'll make the right contributions as long as I drink the water. I'm going to drink my tea.
And enjoy it.
I do.
Not just drink it, but also enjoy it. Enjoy your gift.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, now that's a good practice. So I make myself a brew of a special tea every morning, and sometimes I just drink it and don't give it any thought. But maybe that's another action I can take, is just sit and enjoy the tea. Maybe make it like a little mini meditation and be grateful. I am grateful for a lot. So I don't think the challenge is so much the gratefulness, but it's just trusting that I'm enough and I'll know what to do. Yeah.
So it sounds like you were saying, I'm grateful for enough. It's like you were saying that in order to make a clear statement or to avoid any kind of misconception. What was there to confuse at that space?
I think the really big thing for me is really just trusting that I'm enough. I am grateful for a lot. I don't think I was saying that to cover anything up, but I could have. Sometimes you're not aware of what you're doing. It's like, what do I need to do to trust?
Mm-hmm.
Trust and let go that I really need to do anything. I want to, but do I need to? Do I have to? Am I enough? Do I make enough of a contribution? And trusting that I am.
Let go to let come.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need to let go?
That drive. I got to work
Mm-hmm.
to be of value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I need to let go of.
So how will you manage that when a voice near you or inside you tell you to work, Maureen, no time to sit, just work? How will you answer?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is reach for my tea and drink the water. Sometimes trust comes over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting thing, right? And this is an old issue for me. I've been working on this for quite a while. So what can I do differently that I haven't already been doing that can move me to the other side of this issue of trusting I'm enough? Good grief. I don't have the answer for that one. I mean, I have clients and students that tell me all the time how I've done this and helped them do that. But I'm giving up at least the student part. I'm not going to teach anymore. I'll still have some clients, but that's a good question.
It's only natural. You don't have the answer because if you did, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation, right? But right, exactly. So let's just wonder about, what's the first step to that road?
Well, what bubbles up for me right now, what comes to mind or comes to heart, is I need to just trust myself and my instincts to move in the right direction. And then let's just see what happens and give it a period of time to do that. Mm-hmm. And maybe I give myself a period of till the rest of the year of just letting go of attachment of getting anything done, and just see what comes up and see where I'm guided, and just trust that the connection and contribution will follow. Yeah. Ooh, that's a hard task. No, but actually that feels pretty good. It feels like what I should do.
I'm taking notes too. So what are you writing down? Trust?
well, I'm putting end of the year. I'm always goal driven.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe that's part of what I needed to do for me is, create this goal with a timeline. And the goal is not doing anything, but just follow where I'm guided, enjoy the gifts that I have,
Mhm.
and see where it leads to me.
Yeah.
And the last time I went through a really major transition in my life, I was a single person, and a divorced single person, and I wanted to create a new life for me. And so I just started doing that. I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. And at that point, I had no community, and the contribution I was making depended on, what I was doing in terms of work, but it didn't address the rest of my life. And I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. And I trusted at the time, I just trusted. I just started following my instincts, and I let go of any outcome, let go of the drive to identify the outcome.
Mhm.
And in that, I ended up finding community. I ended up becoming a scuba instructor. I ended up creating all these friends who were scuba instructors. And I met my second husband through that. And it ended up leading me to a really rich life. So, so that will make me smile because I've done this before.
Yeah.
Doy. I can do it again. So,
I'm sure you can do it again. Can I offer something? A
yeah.
little. Yeah, what I sense is that you can do that because you have already done that. But
Mhm.
perhaps it seems like this is a little bit different in the sense that you don't want to be start doing something. Instead, you want to start let go of some things in order to trust and be and enjoy
Mm-hmm.
and all these things. So I wonder, now going back to the, let's use it as a metaphor, putting one foot in front of another, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
So metaphorically speaking, what would be one foot in front of another in the course of letting go of things?
I think so. Nature keeps coming to mind, and I think just losing myself in nature. That could be in my own backyard. Um, and enjoy the gifts that they have to offer me. I mean, enjoy that and let go of the attachment. I got to figure out what to do with the rest of my life. Time's running out. I think I need to let go of all of that and just say, let's
Let
just take one day at a time.
one day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time.
One day at a time, or one foot in front of another, or however you put it. So, what will
Mm-hmm.
help you? What will support you? Monitor. How are you doing? Am I letting go? Was I letting go things or attachment this day, or was I not so much?
So, what will support me? Um, well, when I start to feel anxious, that's a clear flag, and I just need to stop.
Mhm.
You know, drink the water,
Drink the water.
and maybe just go outside. Yeah, just go outside. So that's one way of support. I live with a husband who's always holding up what is great in life. Everything to him is great. It's just great, 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 great. And so he's a good balance for me. So if I get on a negative trajectory, he'll say, "We have so much. Look at this. Isn't this great?" So he can help hold me accountable in that regard. And I think after this call and after I have a coaching session I have to go to and hold space for my client. But after that, when I'm outdoors, um, my husband and I are going to go flying so we can socially distance. So he is part owner of a little plane, and so he's asked me to go flying with him. And I think when I'm up, I won't be up 10,000 feet, which doesn't convert to meters very well for everybody listening, but we'll probably be up 5,000 to 8,000 feet. And that might be a good way for me to just reflect on all this. I'm going to write down some keywords and take those up with me. And so I can hit the reset button up here and in here to just let go, and one day at a time. And that'll be a good way to use that plane ride.
Yeah, that sounds like, yeah, I can. Wow, that's a very powerful picture. That's a very powerful picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when will that happen?
After my coaching call with my client.
That's quite soon.
Yeah, quite soon. quite soon.
Maureen, I noticed that we are reaching the end of our session today. So I wonder what else, what would be the ideal way to wrap up our session today? What else do you need?
If I could just reflect back to you what I'm walking away with, Angelo, that would be beneficial, because that'll get my head wrapped around what I'm going to think about when I'm up in the sky. Sure. The angst was really important to address. And I thought about, I'm getting old, and that's it. That's what this is all about, but it really isn't. Mm-hmm. And so what together we have found is connection and contribution are still really important to me, but I don't know what that looks like. And then my attachment to a goal and my attachment of driving to the goal is probably one of the biggest things I need to let go of. And to do that, I have to trust. And so some of the trust that I am enough. And then we talked about, we can't know what my life is going to morph into. This is a transition period for me. But I do have this great image of drinking the water. And I do know that nature supports me a lot. And I have done this before. It's a different stage in my life and slightly different issues, but it's a transition nonetheless. And so I also have a past experience. I can remind myself that at that point I did have to let go, and I did have to take things one day at a time, and one thing led to another and created a beautiful segment in my life. And so if I can give myself permission to take to the end of the year and just see where life takes me while I enjoy the fruits of what life can offer just by being in it, that's a big gift. And so and there was something about setting the time, end of the year, that I think has been really important to me, because unfortunately I'm still goal driven. So it's a soft goal, but it's still a goal. And so then it makes me happy. So that's what I'm walking away with. Yeah. And it's, thank you, because this is something I've been wrestling with and dealing with, but there was still more yet to go. And I really appreciate this. And thank you.
I want to thank you, and I will be very happy to check again with you on this topic in a few weeks. And can I ask you something, if at all possible?
Sure.
When you will be flying and having these thoughts and make that reflection, if you can take the picture, then we will memorize, your highest space of reflection.
I can do that.
Yeah, that will feel nice.
And I will send it to you, and you're welcome to share it with everyone that's on this call who are holding the space for this session today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing all this space of reflection together. with me and everybody.
Thanks for holding the space. And Angelo, thank you so much.